Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Safe Summit podcast. My name is Heinrich Jensen, and I'm going to be your host for tonight. We are 3 days away before the War Within launches, and I'm so excited, and especially about the lore, the story, and everything coming with it. And that's also why we are rushing a bit with having a lot of podcasts and interviews done with all of these players. We've already talked with some of the Race to World First raiders, and we just had a talk with Raid.io, like how are they going to cover everything coming up. But we also, like tonight, we have a very special guest coming up, especially for me, because I've started following this guy when he had like 7,000 followers on YouTube, and he really inspired me like to see things differently instead of like me being a healer, only minding my own business. But he actually taught me how to, don't just heal, do DPS instead of you jerk. But he's a good guy. But once again, who is Safe Summit? So Safe Summit is the podcast where we take a look deeper into the person behind the character. We take a look about like how did he actually end where he is? What choices did he make in his early days, like in real life, and how did he become either the YouTuber, the esports guy, or whatever he is right now. And also, since Safe Summit is talking a lot about like what is your safe place, is gaming still his or her safe place? Especially for me, gaming has always been a big part of my life, and especially when I was in the army and also at the police. Like whenever I put on the headset, turn on the computer, and everything just shuts down outside, and I could just relax. So that's still my safe place, and I really enjoy that. Of course, everything else and everyone else can have their own safe places, but this, especially for me, feels like my safe place. So let's dig into it. So yeah, tonight I'm proud to announce that we got Mr. Madskillz. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hi guys, it's good to be here.
Yeah, and like we talked about, like our journey actually started a long time ago, where you actually was part of a Mythic Plus team, joining in on my company's Mythic Plus tournament, the DMM. Do you still remember that?
I do. It was actually it was the first tournament I did and the last one. But
The
it's
first and the last.
it's kind of talked about a little bit about it, but just gave me an understanding of how much effort you have to put in to do these like MDI things and just prepare, get all the routes done, just the amount of practice you have to do. I remember doing it for the first time and it was really exciting. Honestly, it was really, really nice, but I, the amount of effort that goes behind the scenes, if you're watching your favorite MDI streamers and the teams winning and things like that, the amount of things that they have to do, the amount of pulls they have to practice and things like that is actually insane. I really liked it, but I don't think I could. I don't think I have it in me to continue doing things like that.
Nah, yeah, it takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment, and especially now when esports is still peaking, and a lot of like passionate young guys are coming in and taking over the scene. We can see like new
They calling me
rank ones
old.
popping up. Yeah. All right. So for people who don't really know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
For the people who don't know, my name is Madskillzz, Mad. I'm the professional Mythic Plus depleter. I get all the worst logs. Joking aside, I just do. My niche is healing. I love healing in World of Warcraft. I think it's a great role to have. I think it is stressful. I think it can be punishing, but I think having that control is really, really nice. I do a lot of healer content. I do a lot of Mythic raiding, Mythic Plus guides, and stuff like that. I just basically focus on that one thing in World of Warcraft that makes me really happy and makes me want to do content because I think it's important to find something that you really like because World of Warcraft, it is a massive, massive game and you can do so many things with it, right?
Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, the reason why I find you interesting is because you have this YouTube channel where you give guides on classes and also dungeons and like your overall thoughts. And what I like about your content is you have the viewers with you in your process. I just watched a video about like choosing your main, and that was very nice to actually see your own process with the pros and the cons. And I think that's why you have this strong community behind you who actually feel like you're not just this arrogant streamer guy. You actually listen and you joke and you give feedback, and yeah. So I really like that about you, at least.
It's something that it changed. Like initially when I started doing YouTube, I mean, I was doing a lot of like I was doing Mythic rating and Mythic Plus and stuff like that, and I was making content about like higher end and oh hey, this is the meta, this is what you have to play for the or like this is what's strong and really really high end content. But honestly, over the last year and a half or maybe 2 years, I just have to realize that hey, mythic high-end content in World of Warcraft is such a small portion of the overall community.
It
You
is.
have to look at people who are doing more casual content. How are they enjoying the game? The meta is different for when you're pugging Mythic Plus skis to, or the meta can be different for like the highest skis in the world, right? Things like that. And I just tried to over the last couple of years to just look at more casual perspective. Maybe I became more casual. I don't know. Over the years, maybe I started to become a little bit less about the like pushing or whatever. But
Mm.
I like to really look at all players out there because too many people, in my opinion, just they don't they don't look at the casual player who's trying to get their plus whatever done for the weekly and what is their experience, what are they going through, and I think that's an interesting part. Or at least I try to cover a little bit of it, right?
Yeah, and once again, is casual maybe the right word? Because I consider myself as a maybe semi-hardcore raider player, but I only raid maybe once or twice a week. But when I raid, I'm fully dedicated. I'm prepared. I
Yeah.
have everything done, and I think your approach is 100% the right one. Also for your business, right? To make everyone like catch up with classes, specs, guides, whatever, right? Instead of like only talk to the elitist. That there's a lots of other people who does that part, right? So that's a very good route that you're taking, and also getting new players into the game. Even though it's hard to come into World of Warcraft right now, I think that's a good approach at least.
Yeah, I think that's actually you touched base on that in terms of like it is hard to get into World of Warcraft. I don't even want to imagine what a new player has to go through when they first log into World of Warcraft. There's very little explanation about professions, rating, Mythic Plus. What is even Mythic Plus? What is a
Yeah.
keystone? What like there is so little information. You basically just have to you're basically forced to go and watch YouTube videos in order to get any understanding of what's going on in World of Warcraft. So I think, in terms of new player friendliness, I think there could be some improvements, but it is such a complicated game if you really want to get better and better and better and better and things like that. So YouTube videos, I think they're really important, or at least they can be really helpful,
Yeah.
especially because people are gonna go for the war within. There's so many people that talk about, hey, which healer is easy to play. A lot of players want to play an easy healer because that's probably one of the most asked questions because
Yeah.
they know there's so many mechanics to follow. They might not know mechanics. They don't want to focus on the rotation 24/7. They want to focus on mechanics a little bit more. So things like that are really evident with the new expansion launch.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get you. And I think YouTube videos and guides can be the best way, because if you have a friend who want to teach you, then they get over eager and want to push you further. Do this, but they don't understand why they do this. I actually had a friend who tried to teach me how to play Eve Online, the space online
Yeah, I
MMO.
know.
I love the fantasy about it, but I have no idea what to do, right. And I had this friend who was so good at it, but I just got confused because I had no idea what I had, and he sent me like 10 trillion gold in or ISK or what the currency was called, and I had no idea what to do with it. So yeah, and that's why I think small, short YouTube guides can be a good guidance on actually how to get into the game. And hopefully more people will join, because, like they announced, we got 3 expansion coming up, and they said after the third one the game is far from over. Then the real end game actually starts. So let's see
Yeah.
what they got cooking, right? But once again, the Safe Summon podcast, we take a look into you. Who are you as a person? And then we, of course, go into your career and, of course, you as a healer. How did you end up in the position you're in now? So, why don't you take us through like your backstory? Like, where did you grow up? Did you play any sports? And how was your like teenage years?
Yeah, one of the biggest questions asked on my stream is where am I from? Because I have a very mixed accent. A lot of people get kind of thrown off by where is he from? He sounds a little bit Irish, but it also sounds Scandinavian and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Lithuania, a small Baltic country that barely anyone knows, which is fine. But I moved to Ireland and I lived in Ireland for a really long time. This was when I was younger, of course. This is like a while ago. I really, I really enjoyed sports when I was younger as well. So gaming is something that was actually relatively new to me because when I was younger, I would just go out and just play like, basketball. Basketball is a big thing in Lithuania. It's like religion. So you're born with a basketball basically. So I was playing basketball a lot. I really enjoyed that. I didn't even use the computer until like, I don't know, like 13 or something along those lines. I was just outside playing with friends, and then we moved to Ireland. I think we bought our first computer. I had to share it with my brother. I remember the good old days of sharing it with my brother playing. We had one. I convinced my parents to get the World of Warcraft subscription. I kind of said this. The South Park episode. That
Oh
is
yeah.
probably that's responsible for so many addictions out there to World of Warcraft. Because I remember seeing that and I was like, you know what? I want to be just like Cartman.
I sure hope not. Jeez.
I don't know what about it, what it was so appealing, but honestly, the first time when I logged into World of Warcraft and I was killing boars, I was Alliance. I remember because I thought Horde were the bad guys
Yeah.
because they didn't look great and stuff like that. So I played Alliance. I'm playing Horde now, but I remember killing boars and just like getting experience, getting items, equipping those items, and honestly, it was such a magical time. I don't think I'll ever get the same hype for a game like I did at the start of World of Warcraft, because that started like an addiction.
Yeah. It does.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, go on.
Yeah. So basket, did that follow through with Ireland? Because I don't know if basket is it big in Ireland as well?
Basketball I guess it's okay. It's not the main sport. For the people who don't know, Ireland has multiple different sports. It has national sports like Gaelic, hurling. If you want to, I think hurling was deemed as the fastest sport in the world because I just check out a video of hurling, and you'll be surprised. It's actually really kind of interesting to watch. So Ireland has multiple different sports, and basketball is not really that big. So when I moved to Ireland initially, I played a bit of basketball. I remember doing like some of the national competitions. I had a good time, but once I got the computer and once I started playing World of Warcraft, I was spending more and more time indoors.
Yeah. So is your brother older or younger?
Oh, I actually have a twin brother,
Oh, twin. Okay.
but we don't look anything alike. A lot of people get confused. They think that we're twin brothers, that we are exactly the same, that we have the same interests and things like that. He likes World of Warcraft, so maybe they're right about that. But besides that, it's just, you have the twin bond, and I remember like sharing the computer the first time as well. That was actually
Yeah.
really fun.
Is he also a healer?
No, he's actually completely opposite. He's playing Assassination Rogue or a Frost Mage, and he always tells me if I always tell him like assassination might not be great or it's broken, it's not doing well. Why don't you try out subtlety or something else? And he's like, no, assassination rogue is the only good rogue that plays fun.
No. Okay.
That's his quote right now.
Yeah, and that's I can understand the class choice if you want something fun, but it also comes down to the spec if it's actually fun because there's so much like a lot changes from subtlety to combat to
Yeah.
assassination. So it's not only the class, right? So I can understand if you at a certain level, if you just want to play and have fun, then of course maybe it's hard to find groups though, but I don't know.
I just carry him most of the time, or he carries me. Sorry.
Oh yeah. All right. So you went to Ireland. What about education and your overall goals as a teenager? What were your education dreams?
So education. So obviously went to school, and decided to go to college as well because just everyone was doing it, right? Everyone was going to college. That's the path that you have to do. It's kind of weird because when you're younger, it was all shaped for you, right? It's like you do school, then you go to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do in college. I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do full time, what is going to be the end goal. All I knew is that I kind of well, I enjoyed computers. I enjoyed spending time with computers, so I decided to do computer science degree, and I spent 4 years. This is actually when I first kind of released or started my YouTube channel as well, but the videos that I uploaded were just like super basic. But in college, I was basically studying computer science for 4 years, and I finished that obviously, or at least I finished it. But I didn't really fully enjoy it. It's one of those things where like I'm already here. I kind of want to. It's better off to finish it. I didn't really was in love with like development and things like that. But I got a job like straight out of college because Ireland is a big hub in IT. There's a lot of
Mm,
IT companies here. It's a big market. I remember getting the job, and I remember this was a big multinational company. I was doing development. I was doing mobile development. And I remember spending, I think I was there for around a couple of years, and I remember I was kind of depressed a little bit. I was a bit like, is this it? 9 to 5, wake up, drive to work, have some food, drive back home, watch TV, and go to bed. And I was kind of like, um, I wasn't really super happy, so I got really burnt out. I kind of decided, hey, I told my work I'm gonna take a sabbatical for a year. If I come back, I told them that I might come back, I might not. They were fine with it. So then I kind of had this period of 1 year where I didn't have work. I had some money saved up, and I was like, what do I do from here? So I did a bit
yeah.
of traveling. I did a lot of travel. This is where I met my girlfriend as well during this period. Um, and then I was kind of thinking, I have like 6 months left. I do a bit of streaming, I do a bit of YouTube videos. I really enjoy World of Warcraft. I enjoy making content for it. Can I really make this work? So I decided, like, for the last 6 months of my sabbatical, is that I'm gonna try and stream and I streamed every single day. I made one video almost every single day or every second day, and I was pushing it really, really, really hard during that period to see if this can take me anywhere, right? And the community was absolutely insane, honestly. At the start, obviously, you're streaming to like one or two people. It's
Yeah,
very hard to get in. It's an oversaturated market, especially today. There's a lot of people doing it. It
yeah,
can be very daunting for for new people to come into it. But honestly, you just push, 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 and the community was just even. I was getting like 10 viewers or 20 viewers, but the support was so good
yeah,
that I decided to just do this full time.
yeah. And when you actually join your stream, your community and the support you have you can already feel it in your chat. Like it's so, they're so nice and so supportive. Like if you join any other chats, maybe some of the bigger streamers, maybe Asmongold or something like it. The chats can get a bit crazy, right? But your community is very nice and supportive. So and that's all. This also shows that you work your way through it, and people know that you are a steady guy and you are solid and you deliver, right. So I like I said at the beginning, I really like that the part about you. You said something interesting. You said and the reason why it's interesting is because both me and Hula Hoops from Red.io talked about the exact same thing. If you are in a place where you don't feel like, is this it or am I the right place, then you need to dare to say stop and take a big break and see, okay, where do I want to go from here? And it takes guts and I guess you also had a lot of thoughts going into this. Like, really, okay, it's a gamble. You have a steady job, you have a good economy, but do I need do I want more of my life? How was that decision? Was it tough? Did you feel like um, when you talked about YouTube, did you really expect it to become a career, or was it a dream?
Yeah, this is excellent question, honestly, because it was really tough, honestly, because I did have like I said about the community. I always try to do a stream in terms of, hey, you're just hanging out, and the viewers are like friends. I
Yeah.
have regulars that I hang out if people want to hang out and just spend time. And initially, when I was building the YouTube channel, it like for the first 3 months, my first monthly paycheck from YouTube was 15 euro. My second monthly paycheck was 30 euro. Like you can't really live on that, right? Like
No.
you have to have savings and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I was in a fortunate position because it was my break from work, so I was able to do it. But of course, I'm leaving a job from IT, which is far more stable. It pays a lot of money, depending on how big you're gonna get on YouTube. I had no hopes of becoming a millionaire or anything like that. All I wanted was to survive and do what I like. Because at the end of the day, for me, doing a 9 to 5 job where I wasn't happy, I didn't care how much money I was getting paid. I didn't care how stable it is and stuff like that. I just wanted to make a living, just survive from what I do that I enjoy. So it was a relatively easy choice in that way, but to make it work and to make it viable was extremely hard.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But I don't really regret it. I don't really, like the stability of like a real job is like, yeah, it's a lot more stable. YouTube and streaming is all based on hype. Like right now, it's the war within. It's all great. In
Yeah.
3 months' time or 4 months' time, the views and everything, I can tell you right now, they're gonna have. And
Yeah.
so it's always based on hype and things like that. I don't regret my choice. Because at the end of the day, I feel like doing something that you really love is gonna outweigh. Of course, it depends on the situation that people are. People might have mortgages and stuff like that, and they
Mm.
can't do it, right? I was really lucky in the situation I was. I had like 6 months to make it work. But it is a lot of grinding, and it is unstable, relatively unstable. But if you're doing something you like, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So, how did you introduce yourself as a person to your girlfriend? I'm just taking a break from this top end job that I have, or I'm chasing my dream to become a gamer YouTuber.
My girlfriend was extremely good with it. She actually supported me a lot because I met her when I was honestly, when I was starting pushing my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
When I said that I don't want to go back to my work, like you exactly said, I don't want to go back to work. And my girlfriend was incredible. She was supporting my choice. She was helping me out. She was um, allowing me time to, push videos every day, stream for like ungodly hours. Like a lot of people like streaming like 12 hours, 11 hours, 10 hours every day, then they do a video and stuff like that. Some of the, like, I was doing things like that initially.
Yeah.
So I was at the computer for like an insane amount of time, and my girlfriend supported me. She's amazing about this, honestly, because like I said at the start, I wasn't bringing in any money whatsoever, but I think she's kind of like me in a similar way because she's from Germany. She left Germany to pursue something else that she enjoys. She's a musician, and she wanted to pursue her what makes her happy, so she could see exactly what I was going through, right?
Yeah.
So it was easy for that. But she reminds me once in a while that no other woman would have done the same thing or something along those lines. But uh, but I was very lucky.
Yeah. She sounds amazing, and you're lucky to have her. It almost sounds like she's the same woman like Conor McGregor's wife, right? She also supported him in the early days when he was a nobody, and stuck with him and helped him and pushed him through training. And to be honest, if you find a girl like that, just keep her. Jesus Christ! So yeah, I'm glad that you found her. So When we talked about in the beginning regarding safe places, so in this period where you went to Ireland, a new country, and you only had your family, where did you find a safe place for you where you could just breathe?
Um, yeah, that's what it kind of comes down to the computer, right? The computer was something that I always like. I would always come back from school. I would always go to computer, and the computer would bring me to other worlds, literally World of Warcraft
Yeah,
and things like that, right? I played basketball and things like that. That was fun, but it was something that I enjoyed, outdoor sports and things like that. But the computer was definitely something that I always had or gaming in general. I had a big connection. I don't see myself ever quitting gaming. I know I'm getting older every single year, but I think when I'll be 60, 70, 80 or whatever, I'll still be playing games. I don't
yeah,
feel any. I feel like, when people say like age is just a number. I don't feel any wiser or anything like. I feel as stupid as I was like when a young kid turns on a computer, plays a
yeah.
game just for fun, right? I don't think that's ever gonna go away, or hopefully it isn't gonna go away.
What
And
uh,
compute,
what
yeah, go on.
other games do you play besides World of Warcraft?
I used to play a bit of League of Legends when it came out. It's actually the first video I ever made was actually League of Legends. It's on my channel it was me playing Twitch. It was the rat carry.
Yeah, like an ADC. Yeah,
Yeah, I was playing that a bit. I made a little bit of video, but League of Legends was a very angry game. I don't get angry about this, but my brother, you should see him play League of Legends. I actually just cannot believe how a game can make a person this angry. So I kind of stopped playing League of Legends a bit. I played World of Warcraft. I played a bit of Diablo back in the day because I enjoy those RPG MMO type of things.
yeah,
I did try to get into other MMO games, but honestly, just nothing really compared to World of Warcraft. And it was probably my main game for a really long time.
yeah. Yeah, I also had a girlfriend back in the day, and she bought like every MMO that was released. Like I think there was a Warhammer game, then there was Conan, Age of Conan or something, and then Wildstar, and like
Wildstar was great.
there was a lot of game coming out. Rift as well, and
Yeah,
the
I
Lord
played
of
it
the
as well.
Rings game, and we bought everything, but we always came back to World of Warcraft. So yeah, and it still lives, and of course some of the other MMOs are still alive and thriving as well. But yeah, I will. Yeah, World of Warcraft is also my jam. I like the lore, I like the gameplay, and it seems like all of my friends are here. So I totally understand where you're going at. So talking about YouTube again, do you remember like when you woke up and you checked your YouTube channel and you saw, holy shit, what happened to this video?
I actually do kind of remember one moment, but this was a while ago. I remember I was going to a wedding of a guildmate that I never met before. I remember going to the wedding in England, Newcastle, and I remember posting a video. I think it was something like, again, easiest healers or something. This is like in BFA or something.
Yeah,
And I just remember waking up and in the hotel in the wedding, waking up and I was like, wow, this is getting so many views. I never used to get this before. And it was kind of a surreal moment because I was also meeting people from World of Warcraft and we were talking about World of Warcraft and it kind of sticks out to me because it was a really, really nice memory.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's something to remember actually.
yeah, yeah. Because like something today can spiral out of control really fast, and especially just like boom, then a clip you done is just going viral. So just waking up with that feeling and seeing, okay, I'm actually getting views now. People are liking my content. My Twitch is growing. Yeah, because you stream on both Twitch and YouTube, right? It's combined.
Yeah,
Yeah, and just watching that and say, okay, I can actually do that because you said you only had 6 months to prove that you needed to do this. Um, did that goal? Did you reach that goal before the 6 months, or did you have to hang on?
So so it was it kind of just touched back on the thing about, going viral and stuff like that. I think to some extent people might have this fairy tale story about, hey, I'm gonna get one video and I'm gonna blow up.
Yeah.
For the amount of people that happens, it's probably less than a lottery win, right? I don't think you can, if you're someone who's new coming into anything or social media, of course it can happen and you blow up. This TikTok is insane right now. It's
It
far
is.
easier to do that right now. TikTok is insane with it. But for a lot of people, it's just going to be grinding every day and just making content and then slowly and surely building up. I think that's like the true path, right? You slowly, or at least you make videos, you are consistent, and this is what I did for 6 months. I was consistent, I was making videos, I was streaming all day, every day, and like you're seeing a little bit of growth, and then maybe you have a collaboration. I remember I was talking with other people, I was making videos with other content creators and things like that, and obviously networking can be important or it can be good, and but I never like had like a one viral video that absolutely exploded. And like in the 6 months that I was doing YouTube before I had to go to work, I wasn't I didn't make, of course I'm talking about money and things like that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't making enough money by the end of 6 months, or at least what I wanted to. It's just that I saw that the growth that was happening in the community, I just thought it was insane. I thought it was like so much love, so much positivity, because that's what we try to build. We don't want to be create a toxic people, and it's just to hang out. And I just saw the graphs of growth, and I was like, I can keep doing this, and at certain point I'll reach a point where I can live off this and I can just do this full time. So I kind of took a little gamble at the end of 6 months as well, because I didn't really fully got my goal or completed my goal. But I really did trust, the process into just making videos, being consistent, and something that you like or something that you love, you're just gonna do it, make it better. And my videos at the start were really, really like they were really poor. Like they weren't great. Like it was just like if you're making one video per day, it wasn't amazing content, right?
No.
I was doing something along the lines of quantity over quality, which is, again, it depends on who you ask. Some people really do get good numbers from just quantity or just
Yeah.
putting out everything, because there is no really definitive way of saying it. But I was doing quantity over quality, and then over the years, I tried to be like, hey, look, I look back, hey, why put out a video every single day, every second day? Just try to put in more research, more things into this, make it a bit better, make it a bit more polished. So my video making process changed a lot. But initially, it was just flip it and ship it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think at some degree, at least at the beginning, you need to have something that just comes out at a steady rate, and then you can upgrade. But there's definitely, especially now, there's lots of like quality going into if you want to watch a video or not, right? So so I totally get that. So regarding YouTube and how was your family supporting this? Like, did they understand it?
um, yeah, it was really weird to start to say like, hey, I'm gonna. It still feels weird. I don't like when someone asks me what I do. It still feels weird to say like I do YouTube videos or I stream, and most people don't really understand what it is to this day, because even though Twitch is very popular, YouTube is very popular, to a lot of people it's still like niche markets and like what are you doing type of thing, right? I like my family was quite supportive. My parents were probably more supportive than I initially thought, because I was like, oh hey, I'm quitting a steady job to go and pursue this. But they were pretty good about this,
Okay.
which is again important to have a good kind of support mechanism behind as well to allow you to do it, because a lot of people will find it really weird. Um, Especially like you said, right now the market is kind of like it is kind of saturated. You need to put in a lot of quality and things like
Yeah.
that. But um, I had a good support system. Everyone, I just told them I'm not happy and I want to do something that I like, and I think anyone can resonate with that.
Yeah. And once again, it's really important that you stop up, take a look around. Are you in the right place? And even though, like you said, you haven't still reached your goal, but that doesn't mean that you need to quit. So, and it seemed like the right choice for you to keep moving on. And safe zones isn't always a place. It can also be persons, right? And you said like you were very supportive, or you got a lot of support from your family. So it seems like your family is also a safe place for you, and also with your girlfriend at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you're so right about the people. Like I imagine if everyone's against you and they're like laughing at you for doing this, it
Mm.
would be a very different story, right? Um, but yeah, I just like I said, doing something that you like is gonna you're not gonna regret it, right?
No. All right. So the last two things regarding YouTube. Did you there's this syndrome called imposter syndrome, right? Where because I'm thinking you coming out to the YouTube world, you posting videos about healing. Did you believe I'm that guy that can tell people how to heal, or did you feel like I know how to heal, but am I the best? I have no idea.
This is a good question. I still feel like, when people say content creator, I don't, I still don't consider myself content creator. I don't know why. I still feel really weird about saying that. Initially, when I was making videos, it was just more like, hey, people watch my stream. Let's say I did good, I did well on a fight or a Mythicless dungeon or whatever, and they were like, oh, hey, what build you're running? What are you doing? What are you doing differently? It was kind of like in early days, right? And I was just like, oh, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what's working for me. It wasn't necessarily the best or the greatest. It was just what was working for me, right? So that's why those videos were way more tailored to my kind of play style rather
Mm,
than maybe what's the best. And I fully can see that after like years and years of doing videos, is that, something that works for someone else, it might not be overall the best, but initially I just really didn't think about I was just putting out content that people were asking me to do on streams, or I was trying to help out people, but it wasn't necessarily like the best content. Again, like I tried to do a lot more polished content
yeah,
right
yeah,
now. Initially, at the days, I was just like pushing as much content as possible, but I didn't really think about that. I was just answering people's questions on Twitch. Like a person would ask me, "Oh, can you make a little overview of your talents and what you did?" And I'll
mm,
be like, "Okay, I'll make a video tomorrow. That's a good idea." I would ask my chat as well. What video should I make today? And they'll be like, oh, you can do this, you can do that, and I would just go for it. Obviously, right now it's a lot different. It's a lot more thought out, and I try to put more effort into it.
yeah.
So,
I
you
think
know,
I
yeah,
think one of the videos I really enjoyed at the beginning. I think I started watching you for real in maybe BFA or something, and there was like you said something about not using your cooldowns, and I remember going through a whole Mythic Plus without spending any cooldowns because I was saving them, but the dungeon is done, and I didn't use them. so so I remember that being a turning point for me. Oh, okay, I need to use them actually because that's why they're here. I need to do more damage. I need to help with interrupts. I need to help with stuns. Like, I think you brought a whole new aspect to it, and I think it was because you. I don't remember if you did a full dungeon walkthrough where you just talked about what you actually did in a dungeon, but I really like those kind of dungeons. I know a lot of other YouTubers are also doing like reviews of other, like if I send you a video of me doing a plus
yeah,
10 or something, and then you, okay, maybe here, but that can also be you can feel like you're backseating and then like finding just you need to find some errors, right, instead of you talking through why you did the choices, and I think that's what I learned from that video. So I don't know if you ever receive feedback like that, because you there's a lot of comments, and how do you actually deal with both positive feedback but also when people say, what is this? I don't agree. What the fuck? Why is Restitute at the bottom of your list? What the hell?
yeah. There is obviously like tier lists and stuff like that are going to be a lot of this stuff. Like I'll be honest with you, like I try to take a step back from all the videos that I do like recently and stuff like that and just be like, hey, this is a game. I think people sometimes take it a little bit too serious. A lot of the videos, at the end of the day, you're just, it's entertainment to some extent. Tier lists are their own kind of like a niche kind of thing, but um, there's always gonna be like for anyone who's gonna do YouTube, anyone who's gonna do social media, anyone who's gonna do anything, there's always gonna be positive, negative.
Yeah,
I'm extremely lucky with the community that I have because I think it is excellent. I think it's really positive. I think if there's going to be criticisms, a constructive criticism is the best way to go about it because you can't definitely fall into doing the same stuff and over again, which I've kind of gone through right now a little bit. I'm definitely doing more videos that I'm comfortable with. I'm not experimenting as much as I would, well, maybe not as much as I like to, but I feel comfortable. I definitely would like to do a bit more variety of things, and it's something that I should try to like approach. And you know, criticism like that, I think it's actually really appropriate. Like you said, like the gameplay videos, the walkthroughs. I used to do those videos. I don't do them as much anymore.
no,
And I should go back to doing those. I should go back to doing more. Like I used to do a little bit of interviews as well. I should go back to those as well.
yeah,
I should do more guides and things like that. It's just, sometimes there's only that many hours in a day, and like you need to prioritize, or like, you have other things going on. So it really depends on that. But like my advice to anyone who's like looking to do social media or YouTube or anything like that, you do need to have a bit of a thick skin, right?
yeah,
In terms of like reading the negative comments. Like, for example, my YouTube videos, I have a good like to dislike ratio. It's something like, because you can see it on YouTube. You can see how many likes and dislikes you're getting. And I see like I have a video that's 97, 95% or whatever. But for me, and I'm terrible at this, the 3% of negativity,
yeah,
I will be hung up on that.
yeah,
I will be hung up on the negative comments, even if they're very, even if there's very few. There might be like 100 really nice comments, and there'll be two really negative comments or something, and I'll think about those negative comments for the rest of the day.
yeah,
I'm really terrible about that. I really need to kind of, step back a little bit, just look at the positive sides, look at the things. But if you're going into like the social media things, right? Just having a kind of a nonchalant approach and
yeah.
just kind of like is probably really good. I'm like giving advice people to do that, but I can't do that myself. I just end up a lot of times I just end up hung up on those negative comments.
And I think that's actually fair, especially when you put so much effort into your work, right? You spend a lot of time doing this video, and then you either receive negative comments or maybe a dislike. And I have also done some YouTube comments before in our other company where we received some dislikes, and I was like, why are you even disliking this? There's nothing to not like, and I wasn't being arrogant. It was just like, this is a milk. It costs like 5 Danish crowns or something, and people were disliking it, and I was like, why dislike it or something? But yeah, sometimes people just dislike. I have no idea why. But I heard an amazing quote the other day, and I'm trying to live by it. And you don't need to care about people's comment if they are not the people that you would go to advice for. So in my world, that actually makes kind of sense. So why should I listen to you when you are not the guy that I want to go and ask for any advice? So,
Yeah, I can see that. Like I get that 100%.
and
Um,
some random guy on YouTube calling himself like the best peller in the world, 9992. Of course, you want to listen to that guy.
I think like there's also a difference between constructive criticism and like just
Totally agree.
downright negativity, right? Or just
Yeah,
like so I have no issues with constructive criticism. Like I
totally agree.
definitely
It's really
yeah,
important.
it's important to like I said, I'm already kind of I would like to do a lot more things, and I need to find more time to do it, and I can see why people would be like, oh, why don't you do this video and stuff like that, and I do take that on board, right?
Mm,
But like yeah, like just like weird comments out there, it's just you should not pay attention to them.
no. All right. So once again, we're talking about World of Warcraft, and we want to get to know you a bit more regarding World of Warcraft, and we want to talk to you about like the war within. It's coming up in 3 days, and I'm very excited for it. So let's do a quick tier list with you. I know you just said, I hate the tier list, but let's do a fun tier list where I want you to rank some stuff, right? Are you up
Okay.
for it?
Yeah.
All right. And once again, it's actually just to get to know you a bit better. So first of all, let's talk about like the expansion. So can I get your top three expansions from Classic until now?
Legion, Dragonflight, BFA.
Dragonflight.
BFA, if BFA started halfway through, and because it was pushed too early, in my honest opinion, if it started off from halfway through after all the Azerite and all the things, and BFA would have actually been a solid expansion, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right actually. And when did you start again?
I was playing at the end of Classic, to be honest. I was starting from the end of Classic. I was playing a warrior tank. I was playing a warlock, and then I was playing a Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman was actually the first healer that I started World of Warcraft, and it was at the end of Classic. Um, at the end of Classic, I didn't really get to experience Classic in the initial kind of stages, but I swapped around roles quite a bit.
Yeah. So if they are gonna, it depends how far they're gonna do the classic thing, right? Right now we are in Kata. They already teased Mr. Pandaria since the Mob remake. So if they are going to bring back classic Legion, would you play it again, or would you just stick with retail?
There is definitely rose-tinted glasses with Legion. I know for a lot of people it's gonna be like myself included. I had the most fun with Legion when it first came out. I really enjoyed the gameplay of classes. I thought the legendaries were cool, but if I were to play it again, acquiring legendaries, it takes like what, like a month of gameplay to get a legendary, and if you don't get the right one, it's like over. And I remember people like
Yeah,
in Race to World First, they would have multiple characters. If they got the bad legendary initially, they would re-roll a character, and they
yeah.
would level them again. And like, so there were issues with Legion. What I put,
They should definitely do the Legion classic version on a later patch so that you could
yeah.
target the legendary, right? Or buy a
If they do
legendary.
that, I do it. If
Yeah,
they do that, I do it. Because otherwise, I think the legendary acquisition again, rose tinted glasses type of thing. It was fun at the start, and I remember like getting the right legendary. I would actually scream because it was like the best thing ever. Oh my god, I got the best legendary that I've been waiting for. But
yeah,
then if you get something bad, it's absolutely pain, right?
yeah, exactly. All right, so that was your top three here. So can I get your top three um, bosses, either according to lore or maybe what it meant to you as a player? It could be your guild or how long it took to kill and you finally killed it, something like. And it doesn't have to be an end boss, just any boss in the raiding environment.
So lore wise, I know nothing. I literally play this game just for the competitive thing, competitive environment, and lore wise, Sylvanas what did she do? What she burn? I have no idea. Um,
Okay.
So lore-wise, memory-wise, I definitely think Tumor Sagaris killed Jaden because it was one of the worst bosses initially because it was completely broken, unmanageable. But then after they fixed it, I remember killing the boss when I was quite hungover, and it just sticks in my mind because I went out the day before the raid was happening. I was really hungover, and I was like, "Are we actually gonna kill this when I can barely play?" And we did, and I thought that was really interesting. But the boss wise, it's just more of a memory. Um, I did like Battle for the I can't even say this. How do you say it? Battle of the Salador?
Yeah.
Um, I did like Jaina mainly because our guild pushed ranks quite a bit, even though we didn't really kind of mean to put. How do I say it? We had no expectations of pushing ranks, and we ended up getting decent ranks. And it was one of those times where we're doing bosses without proper guides, and we're like, usually when you do a boss later on, there'll be guides
Yeah.
out that you just have to follow. Weak auras out there already there. I remember doing bosses there, and we're like, there isn't really proper guide or add-ons or whatever to really help us out here. We just had to do it ourselves, and I thought that was so cool. Learning bosses without knowing the tactics, without having bunch of weak auras, private aura issues as well that's happening right now. Doing bosses like blind is insane. I had so much fun with it. And Castle Natria Stone Legion Generals, the best boss ever made. no, no, no,
Stone
no, no.
Legion Generals.
This is what was the second last boss? It was Stone Legion Generals,
Yeah, it
right?
was. You
The
really
worst
liked it?
boss. It's the worst
No, the
boss
worst boss. Okay.
ever
Yeah.
made in the history of war. I was just kind of memeing because of the mythic version was absolutely horrible. There was
Yeah.
like
Jesus.
there were issues with like queuing abilities and like you had to hold damage and all that. But Castle Natria, last boss, the Natrius. I thought I'll say Castle Natria because I thought the whole raid except of Stone Legion was probably my favorite raid in the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there was something about the whole story about it, like the vampire arc and
Yeah.
Denetrius at the end. Hopefully, we'll see him again in some way. Yeah, it will be insane actually. And once again, like Shadowlands, in my eyes, it has so much potential, but yeah, I don't know what happened. But now we're here, and hopefully looking forward. And probably in the last Titan or something, we will catch up with Sylvanas. Who knows? We might.
Again.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. All right. Thanks for your inputs here, man. And yeah, I hope that they will do Legion again. I don't know if I will be playing Classic Mist, maybe Classic what? I don't know because I liked Hellfire Citadel a lot. That was the first mythic boss I ever killed. So yeah, it has a special part, a special place in my small heart here. All right, so jumping back to you, so to round out the podcast here, let's talk a bit about World of Warcraft. So, how did you actually end up being a healer?
So, like I said, it was like at the very start of Classic, I didn't really play a healer. I played a warrior. I remember playing Prot Warrior. Then I played Warlock as a DPS. And then I just kind of was like, hey, I haven't tried out a healer. What is healing all about? What is this? And I think a lot of people are kind of probably more. DPS is probably more appealing, right? Or for a lot of people, it might be more appealing. But um, I remember playing it. I remember playing Resto Shaman in Ulduar, and I just remember I, the fact that you have to make these like split-second decisions with healing. Like you
Mm,
do have perfect rotation, or you do have priority in terms of AOE healing, in terms of single target healing, and things like that. But if you, for example, doing a raid boss and there's a lot of AOE going on, and you're playing a Resto Druid, then you could press Wild Growth, which will give you more HPS. Or maybe you could just press your single target heal to save someone from who's 10% HP. So what do you do in this case? Do you save a person and look worse on the meters, or do you press an AoE button and look better on the meters, but the person might die? This kind of like split-second decision thing
yeah,
is what really made it interesting for me because it's always different, right? As a DPS, I don't want to knock on DPS. DPS can be difficult, it can be hard, it can be engaging, it can be really fun. But in DPS you have single target, AOE, priority, and all that rotation. You always know what to do depending on how many mobs there are.
yeah,
Right. With healing, it can be a little bit different. It can be a little bit more based on the player. Again, the example that I give you might not be a perfect example, but it's something that kept me playing because every situation was different. And at the end of the day, healing has become quite a burden for a lot of people because it can be really difficult. You're DPSing, you're healing, you're doing utility, you're dealing with affixes and like Dragonflight and all that. And a lot of people are a little bit, how do I say, maybe not tired, but they're getting exhausted from it.
yeah.
But I still think healing is interesting and it can keep you playing the game because at least it did for me.
Yeah, and when we talk about the war within, I want to hear your take on like where has healing been and where is it going into the war within. But going into rating, so if you can just scale up your rating career, so when did it start to take off? Because at the beginning there was just 10 and 25. Then there came heroic rates. Then Mythic was introduced in Siege of Orgrimmar, and now we're here, right? So were you always like a higher performer, like always heroic raids? You didn't bother with anything else. You always wanted to clear the hardest content, or how was your journey?
So before, so in Legion, I really started to properly raid, like doing mythic raiding.
Yeah.
I don't think we were doing crazy ranks or anything like that, but that's when I was like, to me, mythic raiding was really, really fun, and pushing ranks and killing bosses, learning mechanics was really, really fun. I had really fun time in Legion in a lot of the bosses and things like that. Um, I was mythic raiding ever since Legion, from what I remember. There were a couple of times where I ended up leaving the guild because like college or my real life situation, and I end up like maybe doing some like maybe less, but from Legion on, I was basically trying to push as much as possible. I did not leave or I didn't jump guilds a lot. I think I only joined two different guilds in my whole WoW career,
Mm.
if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Um, and we were kind of pushing rates since then. We did get like we pushed a lot in Dragonflight. We got our Hall of Fame, which was really nice. And the perspective of Mythic raiding at lower end, and then perspective of pushing ranks in Mythic is so different. It is almost night and day. I know there's only a couple of difficulties in terms of normal, heroic, and Mythic, but entry level Mythic versus, pushing ranks in Mythic, the amount of spreadsheeting you need to do. My guild leader, I do not envy the job of any guild leader out there. They need to be Excel supermasters, keeping everyone's roster, who's in on this fight, who's better for this, who needs gear, split running, who's missing this piece of gear. It can be absolutely exhausting, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then
so
like especially when you are at a higher level or you want to go like push into maybe top 100, there needs to be a lot more coordination. Like in my guild right now, we are just we are clearing a heroic, and then we go into to mythic, and we have a goal each tier to go for cutting edge, right?
yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So maybe it could be a bit more structured, but again, that would also require a bit more commitment. So did you ever miss any cutting edge from Legion and until now?
I don't think so. I might be wrong on one or two because like I'm terrible with memory. I don't know, maybe the age is catching up on me, but I don't think I missed any of the cutting edge. Maybe one or two because I did have like there were college and stuff like that, and I missed out on like I missed out on a couple expansions, Cataclysm,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mr. Pandaria. I didn't do any of that because of college and stuff. But most of the time, Mythic rating was the number one goal for me.
Mm.
But eventually Mythic Plus came about, and that became a bit more, or it's something that I really like doing, especially in Shadowlands. I was really pushing Mythic Plus, and I really enjoyed like pushing for the rank one titles and things like that. We got the rank one title the first time it was announced because we were like, "Whoa, there's going to be a title for pushing Mythic Plus. We have to get it,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
and it was
insane.
such an incentive to do it. But ever since then, I'm only pushing Mythic Plus or Rank 1 titles if I enjoy the dungeons because honestly, sometimes when you have to do it some dungeons that you don't enjoy over and over again to get score, it can be exhausting, right?
Yeah, I can.
But I've been trying to when I first started off, Mythic rating was the number one thing. I absolutely enjoyed Mythic rating. We were pushing ranks. We're not like race to world first kills or anything like that. We did get Hall of Fame right now, and we're pushing that, and we're hopefully getting that in the War Within. Um, but Mythic Plus is also taking a bit, or it's something that I really enjoy because Mythic rating, like I talked about, like the week was the
Yeah.
preparation. We did Tindril and Firak and spending 400 tries on all of those bosses and things like that. It's just becoming a little bit annoying almost to spend like 400 or 500 or 300 tries on a boss and wiping over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And I'm getting maybe a little bit too old for that kind of thing. Maybe I'm going to be taking a little bit easier later down the line or something along those lines. But um,
How was the
it's
kill
definitely, yeah.
after the first kill on Farag? Was that
Sorry?
fast? Was the kill after your 400 wipe kill? Was that
Um,
fast, or did you need to wipe again a lot of times?
no, so Tindril was like 300, 400 tries, and then Farak was 350 tries. So it was back to back insanity, right?
Yeah.
Which is just super annoying. Stuff like that happened in Shadowlands and Sepulchre. Sepulchre was one of the hardest bosses or hardest raids. Honestly, he had so many Halondros and stuff like that, and then Anduin back to back, you had like a lot of
Yeah.
wipes, and the last bosses you had a lot of wipes. So when Blizzard is doing these, the difficulty of raids, when they're putting in bosses that require so many wipes back to back, it's very draining. At least
It
personally for
is.
myself, it can be very, very draining.
Yeah. But I was more asking, when you finally killed Farag and reset after, did you wipe on him a lot of time again, or did you have it nailed down?
Oh, so afterwards, what was happening? I think we took a little break.
And he
Um,
said, "We're done."
I was playing Holy Paladin in that time, and I didn't enjoy Holy Paladin. I was playing it because my guild asked me to do it, and I just wasn't enjoying. I was just like, I'm finished. I don't have to play this class. I don't have to do this dungeon or this raid for a little while. But after that, we came back because we were farming for mounts. Because obviously, you want everyone to get their mounts. The people who are like, that's another example of mythic raiding. There's gonna be people who sit out. There's gonna be people who don't get to be in kills because you need to have a roster that's larger than 20 people. Because what if a person can't make it? You need to have someone to sub in, right? So we were getting everyone a mount, the people who didn't do it. I think it took us a little while to re-kill it. It's a hard fight. It did get nerfed later on and it became a lot easier. I do think that a lot of these bosses didn't get nerfed fast enough,
Hmm.
especially Tindril. I think Tindril was absolutely insane. I think they made that boss purely for Race the World First, and they kept it at that level for relatively long. We got there really early, and I was like, the first time with the Tindril, before a lot of the nerfs that happened, and a lot of people, like, maybe not a lot of people experienced this, but pre-nerf Tindril, I looked at everyone in the. I was looking, I was talking on Discord. I was like, guys, we can't do this. Let's just wait for the nerfs. This is too crazy. Blizzard is just out of their minds with this tuning. Abilities happening like straight after another. It was just no, and anyone fails once, it's a wipe.
Yeah.
And there were multiple of these things.
I can
Uh,
almost hear your pain and suffering and see the tears in your eyes. So I won't bring you back to that trauma.
I just kind of wanted to like to say that I think Blizzard needs to be careful. Like maybe I'm just being, maybe it's just me, but like I think one-shot mechanics or like someone fails a mechanic and the whole group or the whole raid wipes. I think those kind of things they need to kind of look into. I think they need to look into some of the weak auras in terms of private auras. I think there's too much emphasis on weak auras, and I don't think anyone likes that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that could be made to make raiding even better. That's what I'm basically saying.
Do you think that the race to world first needs to be done in one reset, or is it okay that it's two or more?
It's a really interesting. So so this might be a bit of a hot take, right? A lot of people who want to watch Race the World First, they want to last it a little bit longer. Maybe not too crazy, but they want to have like a lot of competition. But I also think that Race the World First sometimes causes a lot of issues for the other mythic guilds that are not looking to push the highest ranks. They're just trying to kill bosses in a meaningful way. Like I talked about, a lot of the bosses like Tindril and stuff like that not being nerfed fast enough or just being almost designed for these kind of like Race to World First guilds.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, in my personal opinion, I don't really mind how long the guilds or how long it lasts. I like to watch it for a week or so. I think it's entertaining, but uh, it could last as long as they want to, in my opinion, as long as they appropriately tune mythic bosses after the race is over. So the other mythic raiding guilds don't have like, you have to remember, Race the World First, a lot of those top end guilds, they have literally people behind the scenes doing so much. Like people don't
Yeah.
see that. They have so many behind the scenes weak aura riders, people who come up with strategies and stuff like that. They make it look really easy. Us plebs, and I'm talking about like the some of the like average mythic raiding guilds and things like that. We don't have people who are like the 21st man calling when to
No,
do
no, no.
mechanics and stuff like that. We don't have that. it needs to be appropriate. The difficulty needs to be appropriate, right?
Yeah,
But
so maybe even if you go outside, maybe top 10 or maybe top 20, maybe that's actually where the big skill ceiling starts. Of course, there's a big skill ceiling from top 2, maybe top 3 if you count in Echo. Now the Asian guilds also comes in, and they have a like insane mindset upon esport. We can see that in League of Legends, StarCraft, and whatever. So if they go into this hard, maybe we can see a totally swing of how we're gonna do things. But I think your take on it is quite right, because even though they're gonna share the weak hours and everything else, like it's not just to kill a mythic boss like that. Like it takes it takes a while, right? And there's the skill gap between Gingy on his mage or the mage from your guild. I think the skill gap is quite.
whoa, calling out my raider. Okay.
Or at least
No, it's
me. Like I don't care, man. But yeah, the skill ceiling is just so significant, right?
it's not even like the thing is, it's you'll be surprised to see how many good players there are in like I'm even gonna say like top 500, top 200 guilds.
Mm.
You'll be surprised how many of those players would actually be able to sign up for bigger guilds and stuff like that. And it's happened in the past, right? Um, the big thing is time.
It
You need to do
is.
day rating. No one with their like people have jobs and stuff like that. Of course, you can take time off and things like that, but like time is gonna be a big resource. Not everyone obviously is gonna make money from playing World of Warcraft. They can't play the game 24/7. There's rules to exception, but there's a lot of good players who are not in the top end guilds that could
Yeah.
do pretty well. But the investment of having five outs, gear up five outs just in case to see which one's gonna be good
It
and stuff
is.
like that.
It is
Right?
definitely the time investment, of course it is, and also with the time comes the increase of skill power. So
Yeah.
maybe you could also rate in the Mythic Rating Guild, like the top 10 or whatever, if you dedicated to it. But that would mean you didn't have time for the YouTube thing. Your girlfriend would suffer. Your cat needed food.
I would, I would not even want to raid in the
No,
higher. First of all, I'm deteriorating in the skillage. The age is getting to me. No, it's too much. It honestly is too much. Even like the alts and raiding every single day for so many hours and
so
stuff like that.
many
It takes a
heroic
lot of skill.
splits, and yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of skill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't take like you need to be very skillful and you need to have the time, which I'm lacking in both departments. Or maybe not the time the top department.
nah, okay, all right. So talking about the World of Warcraft thing, you were also a caster for pieces. How did you what was your overall thoughts going into the esports scene as a caster? Talking about bosses you even haven't killed yet yourself, but you of course understand the main mechanics.
Oh, the casting was very interesting because you get to see the bosses. There is mythic testing, of course, and I did mythic testing for PTOrs, and so I do mythic testing every single time. For beta servers, for alpha servers, and things like that. And you get to see the bosses for the first time, and it's not the same though. It's not the same as in you get an hour to test out a mythic boss versus having look at it for the first time when people are really finding out the strategies and stuff like that. You obviously have the basic mechanics of what the boss does and what Blizzard is trying to achieve, and uh, the concept of coming up with different mechanics is absolutely so intriguing and so interesting because there's so many ways to find cheese tactics.
Yeah,
Something that Blizzard didn't think about, and you find better like I think that's so interesting. It's hard to do that, obviously, if you're casting or trying or just looking at the list of mechanics that a boss has, you might not see a clear image, right? You're not gonna see a clear picture. You need to kind of do the boss yourself and but I just think the whole concept, like those race to world first guilds, the raid leaders, the people behind the scenes, they're kind of coming up with like, hey, this is how much DPS. We don't need to do this phase. We can bypass it if you have enough DPS, and this is how much item level we need, the cooldowns and everything. and we can bypass and just nuke the boss. Things like that, right? Or like cheesing tactics. There's so many interesting bosses throughout World of Warcraft where they were like downright cheesed, right?
Yeah, yeah, there
Um,
was. Yeah,
and I think that,
I still remember the big dinosaur in Siege of Orgrimmar, where a method was almost killing it, where they stuck him in phase one and didn't ever transition him because I can remember the trigger point. And Blizzard saw this and they were like, no, 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 we need to wipe them now because that's not how, how they were supposed to do it.
yeah,
And I really like stuff like that. But also sitting as a caster and especially as a healer also shows you um, the level of understanding that goes into these raid teams because I was a caster for Method back in Eternal Palace, and on the last boss, Ashara, uh, you Method two healed it with, I think the two healed it with
yeah.
double disc priest, right? And we in the caster team were like two healing. What they keep dying, and then I had a talk with Salia, who was one of the healers, and he said we're not dying to a healer problem, and just him being so confident, it's not a healer issue. And we were like, nah, of course you're dying to a healer problem. You're all low, and but understanding. We are actually all safe now for 8 seconds before the next damage thing goes out, and that actually just yeah changed my mindset. And also now when I'm raid leading, I'm making sure that I announce we are safe now, get people topped up because we are not dying now, and that actually takes a lot of the pressure off my healers, so they know, okay, top them up and now we can go again.
It's it's a really good point, honestly, because I genuinely think that you should just turn off healing meters if you're doing mythic rating or mythic progression rating. You just like there's too many people. Like obviously, I'm streaming and I have my healing meters on, and people a lot of the times will be like, "Whoa, this healer is doing so much healing. He must be good."
Yeah,
And mythic rating, especially like mythic high-end progression, you want to do damage when nothing's happening. You want to heal the people that actually need healing. Some people might not need the healing because they're not in danger and things like that, and you could just throw in a DPS ability. So a lot of the times, it kind of it's not really a pet peeve, but someone who's doing the most HPS does not mean that they're doing well. Does not mean that they're the best. There's so many healers out there. Some of the best players that I played, and I played with. I remember playing with healer who does half the healing of everyone else, but he's only literally healing when he need to heal, and he's DPSing the rest of the time because we were doing some of the bosses that were not really healing intensive, and he would just be confident about, hey, I'm not gonna try and push meters, look good on the meters. I'm literally just gonna DPS unless I need to really start healing, kind of thing. And I'm not saying this is how it works for every fight and every
no,
comp and everything, but it's that kind of mentality where, hey, just turn off your healing meters. Don't look at how much healing you're doing or try to top everyone else and look. Of course, streaming is going to be different because people just look at healing meters and they're like, yo, you're doing bad, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's important to understand that it's not like that.
Yeah, and meters is so like meters and logs can be misread so easily, like for people who only take a look at, oh, see this guy, he's number shock at the bottom at healing meter or whatever, right? But my approach to healing is if the boss dies and we survive, then there wasn't a healer issue. Maybe I can optimize whatever, right? But of course there's a min max part. But again, back to Eternal Panels. I remember watching Scribe. He was actually playing back then. He wasn't the 21st man
Yeah.
back then. He was on his mage, and he as a mage didn't really do any damage at the beginning. But then an ad spawned, and his job was to pop all cooldowns and kill that freaking ad. And if you took a look at the damage period from that, just on that ad, like he blasted that ad. And if you don't understand that and just take a look at the damage meter, you're just like, oh, mages are bad, or scribe is bad, or something like that. So you really need to understand the fight, and I think that's really what takes a part of like being a good both raid leader but also a raider at a higher level, like to understand what's actually going on. So, all right, let's talk a bit about the war within. And following your channel, I really like that you took the viewers with your journey in your thought process on choosing your main. Was it a hard decision this time?
The best healer is always my main, right?
Yeah, if your guild allows it, apparently.
Yeah, I've had issues with my mains before. I talked about like Holy Paladin. I didn't enjoy it, and I did it because of the raid. I've mained plenty of healers for the raid a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I've done that before because I wanted to push ranks. I wanted to get like you have to remember like if you're in a relatively decent mythic raiding guild, if you pick a class that's not great or whatever, there's a lot of people who will be like, "Oh, you don't have a great class, therefore you sit out on bosses." Stuff like that, like meta chasing and stuff like that. It's been a thing in World of Warcraft for a long time, and it's always going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, so if I want to be in some of the raids, I might need to play a certain healer. But my mentality has changed completely in the last
But
couple of I guess the War Within, I guess Dragonflight, after I played a healer that I didn't really enjoy. Of course, I
mm,
picked Resto Shaman because I think Resto Shaman numbers wise is really great, but also because I was looking for any reason to play Resto Shaman. I've actually wanted to play Resto Shaman in Dragonflight as well.
yeah.
And it's actually a funny story because I made a video about in season 2 of Dragonflight. I'm maining a Resto Shaman. And then my guild leader was like, could you not?
Can
Could
you
you
do a
play?
holy paladin?
No, this was season 2, so they asked me to play Preservation Evoker, and I was like, okay, I'll play Preservation Evoker.
Oh,
And
nice.
the video is still there of me saying that I'm playing a Resto Shaman, but I actually wasn't playing a Resto Shaman because the guild asked me to play Preservation Evoker, and kind of the same thing happened in season 3 where they asked me to play Holy Paladin. And then I was like, okay, I need to stop this. I need to like take a step back. I'm playing this game to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I need to. So the way I'm doing it right now is basically, let's say you have three. I have three powerful healers, uh, or someone that healers that are doing well in all forms of content, and I'll be like, okay, this is the healer that is powerful and I enjoy the most. I like playing it the most. I'll pick that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I try to push Mythic Plus, or if raiding, a lot of people want to invite powerful classes. For the people, like people don't realize, but I pug so much content. Most of my streams in terms of Mythic Plus is pugging. So I literally just do random groups all the time. And obviously healers have an easier way to get invited, but I picked the rest of Shaman also because it's just such a great healer for pugs. The interrupt, the utility. It doesn't even have to do good healing. If the healing gets nerfed for Resto Shaman, it's still going to be the best pug healer because for those weekly keys, because the utility is still unmatched or very hard to match. Um, but yeah, this time around, I want to bring back the glory days that I had in Shadowlands. I was playing my Shaman in Shadowlands. Shaman was actually my first healer ever in World of Warcraft. I want to kind of go back to that and, get good at that again or try to get good.
But do you, by choosing shaman, of course, you play at a level right now where you can't pick like a bad healer because you don't want to hinder the progress of your guild, right? But do you expect us to see Resto Shaman as a common pick in the race world first?
I feel that if they don't nerf Resto Shaman, I think there will be. Well, you have to have a blue class anyways because it brings
Yeah,
a raid buff now.
exactly.
Uh, and Resto Shaman has a little bit extra utility that other shamans can't bring, that Enhancement or Elemental can't bring in terms of like HP increases, APT totem on Special Protection totem, which again is situational, but it's pretty decent for high-end mythic raiding or pushing bosses. Like for the APT totem is basically a free battle res. You just have to place it before someone dies. And if they die in the APT totem or the area, you get a free battle res that you don't use. And there's also HP increase. So there were moments, like historically, where I was playing Shaman and we couldn't bypass a certain boss mechanic because a person would always die, and I would just swap to that and we bypass it.
Yeah.
Like there's actually moments when that actually happened. I'm not saying it's OP or it's mandatory to pick it, but I remember some fond memories of that happening.
Yeah, and you can actually play around it, right? So
Yeah.
I don't really know too much of the upcoming bosses, but if you had an insane debuff going out and maybe it would spread after a while, you could just have a person die with it and you would get rid of it, right?
Oh, it depends on like how big of a hit it happens. Blizzard has done they've done a couple of things with it, like in terms of death prevention. But if the hit is too big and
Ah, okay.
it doesn't work exactly like that. There were times if you look at some of the Blizzard's mentality in like Fallen Avatar back in Legion, that boss fight was all about soaking, and it
Yeah,
was all about soaking mechanics, and like anyone who had immunity, rogues were extremely strong, and then Blizzard was they took a complete flip in terms of the design. They were like, we don't want to do that anymore. It's not really a great boss mechanics to just have people soak and like immune it or things like that. So they've changed a lot of these kind of things. But I think Resto Shaman is gonna be I think Mr. Shaman could see some race to world if they don't change anything. It's all about numbers. I know I talk
yeah,
about utility and I talk about totems and stuff like that, and utility is important, but at the end of the day, the class has to pump.
yeah,
Like, like I've said this multiple times in like Dragonflight, where Mystery of Monk started to be really, really good because the numbers were increased. Previously, before that, everyone was saying like Monk is terrible. It's not great in Mythic Plus or whatever. It doesn't have the utility. It doesn't provide a lot to the party. Then when Monk got buffed multiple times and now it's pumping, and people are like, Monk has great utility. It's amazing. It's so great.
yeah,
Numbers are going to be very important, with a couple of exceptions in terms of like raid buffs.
yeah,
Like Druid buff is still very strong. We just saw nerfs to Intellect and Demon Hunter buffs as well, or raid buffs, which is something that Blizzard is looking at, to be honest.
yeah. And regarding your choice, I've actually done the exact same thing. I sent three healers to my officers, and they have to choose. So depending on what comp they want to go with. So I gave them Holy Paladin, I gave them Evoker, and Resto Druid for my team. And and we already have one guy playing a Holy Paladin, so I don't really know what the comp is gonna be. But once again, we are not mythic clearing within a month guild, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think it's like um, even for like Hall of Fame guilds and stuff like that, there's always something to be said about playing the class that you like, right? We always
Yeah,
talked about it, but someone who's playing a class that's not great but plays it really, really well is going to be better than someone who picked up a class that is perceived to be good, but they can't pick it up or they can't play it properly, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
see that happen
definitely.
all the time. I see that happen all the time with like certain guilds that are like picking up certain healers and they don't even know why they're picking up those healers.
No,
Oh, you can see the cats coming into my room now.
they're
Uh,
getting hungry. All right.
but
So regarding the war within, you said you don't really care about the lore, but I think that lore-wise, we're going into an amazing era. They're really trying to build up the villains and also the areas as well. Do you really mean it when you say, "I have no idea what's going on"?
I actually really do. I really don't know much about the lore. I only know the main bits. I think it would be easier for me if I read the books, if I really got into the books, if there was a Netflix animated series, something similar to that, like League of Legends,
Oh, that could be
Arcane.
insane.
If there would be something like an easier way for me to consume the information, I think it would be way easier. But my main source of or reasoning to play World of Warcraft is, can we kill this boss? Can we push ranks? Can we do Mythic Plus? Can we have
Yeah.
fun while doing it? But the competitive edge. But lore, I don't I would need to watch a lot of videos to catch up.
Yeah. All right. All right. So. Quick fire. What's your first impression and overall thoughts right now about the first raid tier? How is your feeling of it?
In terms of rating,
Yeah,
in terms of rating, so I tested out a couple of bosses. I thought the bosses were actually pretty cool. Some of them have really cool mechanics. Some of them were a little bit like bland. But there's nothing that really stood out for me in terms of being really bad because SLG in Castle Natria, I hope we're not going to get something similar to that. I didn't get to test, I didn't get to test out as much of Mythic rating because that's where the stuff is really gonna change, right? There could be a boss that's really great and heroic, but is really terrible in Mythic.
Mm.
Because you have limited testing, right? And I think that's fine. I think it's fine that there's limited. I would actually prefer if there was no rate testing at all, and Blizzard would use their internal team to do all of the rate testing. So you would go to the raid for the first time, and you'd be like, "What do we do? Like, we need to figure everything out." I think that would be so cool, but obviously, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
What about your overall impression of Delves as it is right now?
I think I did like two delves or maybe three delves.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they're doing solo content because, like I said, I try to see what maybe a more casual play would look like. I know this is an MMO game, but there's a lot of people who just play it solo without anyone else.
Yeah.
I think there's a large portion of the community that does that, and I think having something to do as a solo, it's not only solo player devs, you can use it in groups as well. You just have an option of doing it as solo. And I think that's good. I don't think it's gonna keep you playing the game if you're just someone who's just going to do delves, unless they're gonna maybe like build on top of it and make it better. But like, it's a decent challenge. It can get boring. At least I got bored after a little while. Um, I don't think by itself it is a game mode, if you know what I mean. It's not like comparable to like Mythic Plus or raiding,
No,
but they
no.
can build on top of it and make it better.
Yeah, hopefully it's like I have heard some good things about it, and also regarding Mage Tower wannabe. So we will see, and especially when they're also putting in like the weekly items for it. So I'm excited for it. I hope it's not gonna be a bomber like Torghast, but we'll see. We will see.
I just wanted to say like the thing, or I think it's very good that Blizzard is experimenting and doing things like that because if you look at the history of World of Warcraft, what are some of the biggest moments in World of Warcraft history? Raiding is the core pillar of World of Warcraft, and then challenge modes that evolved into Mythic Plus is one other core moment that happened to World of Warcraft. Now Mythic Plus is a huge portion that brings players playing this game.
Mm,
And I think Blizzard is looking for the next thing, right?
yeah,
And I think it's important that they try and do it. And I know if Torghast was supposed to be something like that, they didn't really succeed. But it's important to experiment, and maybe they will find something that's going to be as popular as Mythic Plus or Raids.
yeah, probably. Yeah, and it could be fun to see some speedruns in them or something. I don't know. Well,
Leaderboards and stuff like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, like Diablo Rifts or something like back in the day. All right, and what is your take on the race to world first? Who is in your mind is going to take it? Any ideas?
It's always kind of relatively close, right? I'm from Europe, so Echo is Echo is something that I support, right? But honestly, underdogs. Let's go an underdog guild, maybe Method or something.
Oh
Let's go
yeah,
for someone new. I would like to see
yeah,
someone new because to some extent it's kind of mainly becoming just the two, right?
yeah,
I would like
and especially if the first tier is always a bit easier than yeah than the upcoming tiers. So I also hope that that we'll see method, so it's not only a two horse race, at least like competing. But yeah, we'll see. Still some time to go though. All right, so we are reaching the end here, and we talked a bit about like safe places at the beginning, and you talked about like family and your girlfriend can be a safe place as well. What about now, when gaming and YouTube is like part of your daily life, and you also said like doing what you love doesn't really feel like work. So, how, like, where do you really find safe place now?
I was gonna try and get my cat to say that the cats are the safe place now, but they're literally nestled in underneath the underneath the shelves and all that, so I can't really do it. But um, like I know what you mean about the YouTube and everything. Like, um, Honestly, it's kind of hard to like like my girlfriend, my pets. I love my pets so much. I love my girlfriend. Spending, I live kind of close to the beach. Going to the beach once in a while is a nice, safe place just to like get away from the computer once in a while because I think,
Go and clear your head.
yeah, I think that's really, really important. I think mental health and
Yes.
stuff like that is like, you can get, if you spend too much time on the computer day in and day out and just looking at like social media, you kind of lose touch with like reality to some extent. And I think it's like just clearing your head, going outside, doing my girlfriend always pushes me to do activities, which is a good thing because I should be doing more activities outside. I should be doing more exercise. I should do healthier living. Um, things like that are really important. But I guess my safe place, you know what I've been trying, I've been doing something lately. I've never I haven't gone to a cinema in like 3 years or something.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I went to the cinema the other day and I was like, you know what? In cinema, you just focus on one thing. You don't take out of your phone. You
Yeah,
just watch, relax. I don't have that kind of thing. Like at home, I might watch a TV and I might just like go on a phone or something like that. I just get distracted. But like, I think cinema is kind of bringing me some joy because I can just focus on one thing, forget about everything else, just get some snacks and stuff like that.
what movie did you watch?
I saw Deadpool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. God damn, that's so funny and it's good and yeah, and I really understand like when you get somewhere where you don't take out your phone because your phone can be a distraction. That can actually be a very good area to be in because the other day I forgot my phone at home and I went to work and to be honest I hated myself at the beginning but then I was that was like the best day I ever had because I didn't look at my phone the whole day. So
Yeah.
the phone can be such a distraction
I,
though.
I actually want to ask you something, a question as well here. Do you think, I thought about this for a while as well, I've been thinking about it. Do I think that social media is a good thing or a bad thing ever since it was invented? Um, I don't know the answer to that, to be completely honest.
Yeah, because I can like I can spin it in two ways if I was supposed to answer. So my son is like 14 years old and he is on TikTok right now and he's getting all of this information regarding fitness and every fitness guru out there says something differently, but he thinks it's the truth. So he thinks he needs to eat 18 eggs a day because this stupid ass guy on the internet does it. And that's unhealthy, right? But I can't tell him that because it's on the TikTok thing. So in that portion, it's not healthy. On the other way, maybe it's not social media, but some sort. Because on the other day, I had on Discord, I had a guy. He was very bummed out, and we had a talk, and we started talking about like what was going on in his life, and he actually told me that he was in a very very dark place, and we had a talk about it, and I actually sent him some uh, like Instagram motivation videos where I said like I'm listening to this guy, what he's saying, and where it was like how to get over a breakup and everything else, like how to take control back in your life, and in that portion, I think that could be a very good thing, right? But I'm not looking forward to my daughter to get on TikTok and looking at all of yeah. If she thinks she needs to be like this or this or this to have success in life, then yeah. But because you don't have kids right now, right?
No, no. So for like in terms of me, like I actually agree 100% with you. It really depends on like, depends on the content. I think it can be a good and a bad thing. I personally myself like fall into I watch a lot of TikTok, I watch a lot of this, like I fall into social media,
Yeah,
where everyone's lives are perfect and they might not be, but they're portraying all these things, right? I think it just really depends on like the content that you consume and if you can actually decide if that content is right for you or not, right?
exactly.
Um, so if you use it properly, it can be really good, but it's also a cautionary tale for a lot of people, right? It's just something interesting to talk about because I think it's like everything's very social media right now,
It is.
and you don't know what's right or wrong, right? You don't know what's correct, what's incorrect, what's right, who should I follow, who's the thing. It's just um, it's important to use it right.
Yeah, it is, and especially for young men and women out there who are just downloading TikTok or whatever. Like they really need to know what they are looking at instead of just believing everything, right? So, all right. On I think on that topic, I think this has been a very nice podcast. We have touched about like where you were from and your upbringing, your YouTube career, how it started, and where it is now. What can we expect of your channel and you going into the War Within Midnight and the Last Titan?
Oh, I'll be obviously I'll be doing a lot of content. I'll be doing a lot of streams. I'm planning to probably do something like a 24-hour stream or something along those lines, like a really long, which is not, it's not healthy either. But a lot of streams, a lot of videos, just hanging out and having a good time. Obviously, we're gonna try and push content, get ranks and things like that. But honestly, just hang out, have a good time. Don't stress too much. Just enjoy life as it is right now. At the end of the day, it's just a game, and you're paying money to play a game. So why not have money? Why not have fun while doing that?
Exactly. Can we expect application for Method or Echo or Liquid from you in this year?
I Years ago, I think I applied to one of the guilds. I can't remember now. Years ago. I'm not in like skill wise, everything wise. I'm not in for it, man. I'm not in for the grueling schedule that it requires to do that. I
No, of
enjoyed
course.
the steady pace, getting that like Hall of Fame or whatever. Even if you don't get it, as long as you have fun while raiding. What I don't want is wipe on a boss 400 tries because someone is making a mistake over and over again or something like that, right?
Or the boss is
That's not fun.
overtuned or something.
Or boss overtuned or it's not killable or it's just things like that. You can have fun in raiding multiple different ways.
Yeah,
But I'm looking forward to the War Within.
yeah, it's gonna be great. All right. On that note, I want to say thank you for joining the podcast, and I will catch up with you when we get after the Race the World first. It could be fun to do a podcast with you and maybe some of the raiders from either Echo, Liquid, or Method. We'll see about that.
That sounds great. It was really nice being here.
All right. Thank you for tonight, man. All right, so that was Madskillzz, and as you just heard, like he's a solid guy. Like he has been in this industry for a long time, and I think if you should take something out from this podcast, listen to what he said about like, was he in the right place? Like, it's really important that you stop up once in a while, take a deep breath. Are you in the right position? And of course, sometimes you need to work your ass through to actually get something done. But are you happy? Can you see your goal? Can you see yourself as being here for 10 years or in at least this career? Are you loving this? Like, take a stop once in a while and follow your goal. I think that's a solid point to end on. And once again, your safe zone, like he said, gaming is of course a safe zone for him, but also his family, girlfriend, his pets, of course, and also just going outside, going to the beach, sitting down, enjoying the breeze, and listening to the ocean. I think that's a very good point as well. Like getting outside is definitely a good way to actually relax. So the War Within is around the corner, and I'm excited. I guess you are excited as well. So remember to follow because we are putting out content like crazy during this Race to World First. So keep following us, and I'm excited to see who actually wins. Hope you all have a great leveling experience, and see you in the next podcast. Good night.